Book 1, A Nice Little Family. The Karamazov family, a web of complexities, meeting the Karamazov brothers. The Karamazov family, a name synonymous with turmoil and complexity, is a fascinating ensemble of characters that sets the stage for a gripping narrative. At the heart of this family are three brothers, Dmitry, Ivan, and Alyosha, each with their unique personalities, values, and beliefs. Their relationships with one another are multifaceted, often oscillating between affection, resentment, and intellectual debates. Dmitry, the passionate and impulsive Dmitry, the eldest of the three brothers, is a charming and handsome young man with a penchant for reckless decisions. His impulsive nature often lands him in trouble, causing chaos in his personal and professional life. Dmitry's passion for life is evident in his vibrant personality, but it also leads to selfishness and a lack of consideration for others. His tumultuous relationship with his father, Fyodor Pavlovich, is marked by episodes of anger and disrespect, further complicating the family dynamics. Ivan, the intellectual and skeptic. Ivan, on the other hand, is a rational and intellectual individual who approaches his life with a healthy dose of skepticism. His calm and collected demeanor often contrasts with Dmitry's impulsiveness, creating an interesting dynamic between the two brothers. Ivan's stance on religion and morality is rooted in logic and reason, leading to intriguing debates with his brothers, particularly Alyosha. Alyosha, the compassionate and spiritual Alyosha, the youngest of the three, embodies compassion, empathy, and a deep sense of spirituality. His calm and gentle nature has a profound impact on those around him, making him a beloved figure in the family. Alyosha's faith is unwavering, and he often finds himself mediating between his brothers, attempting to bring peace and harmony to the family. In summary, the Karamazov brothers are a complex and intriguing trio, each with their unique strengths and weaknesses. As we delve deeper into their lives, it becomes apparent that their relationships are multifaceted and influenced by their individual values and beliefs. This intricate web of complexities sets the stage for a gripping narrative that explores the depths of human nature. The founding of the monastery. The founding of the monastery, early beginnings. Nestled in the heart of the Russian countryside, the local monastery has stood as a testament to faith, perseverance, and community for generations. Its rich history is intimately intertwined with that of the Karamazov family, whose patriarch, Fyodor Pavlovich, played a significant role in the monastery's founding. In the mid-18th century, a devout group of Orthodox monks, seeking solitude and spiritual enrichment, arrived in the region. They were drawn to the area's natural beauty and tranquility, which they believed would foster a deeper connection with God. The monks, led by the venerable Father Ambrosi, settled on a picturesque hill overlooking a serene lake, where they began constructing a humble wooden church. And the Karamazov connection. Fyodor Pavlovich, a wealthy and influential landowner, was instrumental in supporting the monks' endeavors. He not only provided them with land and resources, but also became a devoted patron, often hosting the monks at his estate and offering counsel. This close relationship between the Karamazov family and the monastery would shape the course of their lives and the region's history. Fasten, a symbol of faith and community. As the monastery grew, so did its significance to the local community. It became a beacon of hope, offering refuge to the poor, the sick, and the spiritually weary. The monastery's doors were always open, welcoming travelers and locals alike to partake in prayer, education, and charitable works. Over time, the monastery evolved into a vibrant hub of spiritual and cultural activity, attracting scholars, artists, and pilgrims from across Russia. Katsik summaried in summary, the founding of the monastery marked the beginning of a profound and enduring relationship between the Karamazov family and the Orthodox Church. This sacred bond would have far-reaching consequences, influencing the family's values, actions, and destiny. As we delve deeper into the history of the monastery, we will explore how this ancient institution shaped the lives of the Karamazovs and the community that surrounded them. The argument. The meeting at the monastery. The morning sun cast a warm glow over the serene grounds of the monastery, a stark contrast to the tense atmosphere that was brewing inside. The Karamazov brothers, Dmitri, Ivan, and Alexei, gathered in the dimly lit chamber, their faces set with determination. The purpose of their meeting was to discuss their father, Fyodor Pavlovich's intentions, specifically his plans for the monastery's vast fortune. The conversation began amicably enough, with Dmitri, the eldest, expressing his concerns about their father's reckless spending habits. Ivan, ever the cynic, chimed in, questioning the morality of their father's actions. Alexei, the youngest, listened intently, his eyes darting between his brothers as they exchanged heated words. As the discussion progressed, the tone shifted from cordial to caustic. Dmitri's frustration boiled over, and he slammed his fist on the table, accusing their father of embezzling funds meant for the monastery. Ivan retorted, his voice laced with sarcasm, "You're one to talk, Dmitri, considering your own questionable financial dealings." The air was thick with tension as the brothers' words hung in the air, each one a razor, sharp jab at the other's character. As the argument reached its crescendo, it became clear that the true issue at hand was not their father's intentions, but the brothers' own insecurities and rivalries. The meeting at the monastery had devolved into a bitter clash of personalities, each brother seeking to prove their own superiority. In the end, the discussion yielded more questions than answers, and the brothers parted ways, each one more entrenched in their respective positions than before. As they departed, the monastery's tranquil atmosphere seemed to mock them, a stark reminder of the chaos that lay within. Fathers and sons. The turbulent bond. Dmitri's relationship with his father, Fyodor Pavlovich, was a complex web of love, resentment, and rivalry. As the eldest son, Dmitri was expected to embody the virtues of his father, yet he rebelled against Fyodor's excesses and moral decay. This internal conflict was rooted in their contrasting values and the tumultuous dynamics that defined their bond. Fyodor's character was a manifestation of hedonism and self-indulgence. He reveled in the pleasures of life, often at the expense of others. His treatment of women, particularly his son's mother, was callous and exploitative. Dmitri, on the other hand, was instilled with a strong sense of justice and morality, courtesy of his mother's influence. This disparity in values created a rift between father and son, with Dmitri often finding himself at odds with Fyodor's actions. One such incident was the dispute over Fyodor's mistreatment of the young servant, Grushenka. Dmitri's outrage was palpable as he confronted his father, pleading with him to desist from his philandering ways. Fyodor, however, was unmoved, dismissing Dmitri's concerns as naive and foolish. This confrontation exemplified the depth of their emotional chasm, with Dmitri struggling to reconcile his love for his father with his revulsion towards his behavior. The intricate dance between Dmitri and Fyodor was a delicate balance of power, with each trying to assert dominance over the other. As their relationship continued to deteriorate, the stakes grew higher, threatening to upend the very fabric of their family. In essence, the turbulent bond between fathers and sons was a microcosm of the human condition, replete with flaws, contradictions, and the universal quest for understanding and connection. In summary, the tension between Dmitri and Fyodor stemmed from their fundamentally different outlooks on life, with Dmitri's moral compass pitted against Fyodor's hedonistic nature. As their relationship continued to fray, the consequences of their conflict would have far-reaching implications, ultimately shaping the trajectory of their lives. A gathering of enemies. The morning of reckoning, the sun had barely risen over the sleepy town of Skatoprigonievsk, casting a golden glow over the bustling streets. The air was alive with the sound of horses' hooves and the murmur of hushed conversations. It was a day like any other, yet the sense of unease was palpable. The Karamazov family, with their complicated web of relationships and secrets, was converging on the local inn, each member driven by their own motives and agendas. Dmitri, the charming but troubled eldest son, arrived first, his face etched with worry and exhaustion. He was followed by his father, Fyodor Pavlovitch, a man notorious for his cunning and duplicity. The old man's eyes gleamed with a mixture of excitement and malice as he surveyed the gathering crowd. Next to arrive was Ivan, the rational and detached middle son, his eyes fixed on some internal horizon, his thoughts a million miles away. As the family assembled, the atmosphere grew increasingly tense. The air was heavy with unspoken words and unresolved conflicts. The sound of laughter and small talk filled the air, but it was a thin veneer, a fragile disguise for the turmoil that seethed beneath. Meanwhile, the inn's proprietor, Pyotr Ilyich, watched the gathering with a keen eye, his mind whirling with speculation. What brought this dysfunctional family together on this particular morning? What secrets would be revealed, and what scores would be settled? As the clock struck 11, the final pieces of the puzzle fell into place. Alyosha, the compassionate and gentle youngest son, arrived, his presence a beacon of hope in a sea of animosity. And with him, the mysterious and enigmatic Grushenka, her eyes flashing with a mixture of defiance and vulnerability. The stage was set, the players assembled. The morning of reckoning had finally arrived, and with it, the promise of drama, confrontation, and revelation. The Karamazov family's tangled web of relationships was about to be laid bare, and the consequences would be far-reaching and devastating. The crime. The night of the heinous crime, it was a chilly autumn evening in the small town of Oakwood, where everyone knew each other's names, and the streets were always quiet after dark. But on this particular night, the tranquility was shattered by a gruesome discovery that would shake the very foundations of the community. The discovery emergency services received a frantic call from the local convenience store owner, Mr. Patel, around 11:45 p.m. He had stumbled upon a gruesome scene while closing up shop. A young woman, no more than 25 years old, lay lifeless on the pavement, her body brutally battered and bruised. The police were summoned, and within minutes, the area was cordoned off, and forensic experts were called to the scene. The victim, later identified as Emily Wilson, and was a popular Oakwood High School graduate who had returned to her hometown after completing her college degree. A bright and ambitious young woman, Emily was well liked by everyone who knew her. Her parents, Martin and Sarah Wilson, were devastated by the news, and the entire town was in shock. The investigation begins. Detective Jameson, a seasoned investigator with over a decade of experience, was called to lead the investigation. He arrived at the scene, taking in the gruesome details, and began to survey the area. Forensic experts collected evidence, including security footage, fingerprints, and DNA samples. The detective knew that every minute counted in solving this heinous crime, and he vowed to leave no stone unturned in bringing the perpetrator to justice. The aftermath. As news of the crime spread, the town of Oakwood was left reeling. The once peaceful community was now gripped with fear and uncertainty. Nova residents began to wonder if they were safe, and who could have committed such a heinous act. And the investigation had only just begun. But one thing was certain, the people of Oakwood would never be the same again. The investigation. The gathering storm. The investigation into the mysterious crime began with a flurry of activity. Officers from the local precinct descended upon the scene, cordoning off the area and scouring every inch for evidence. Forensic experts combed through the surroundings, collecting samples of fibers, hair, and other materials that might shed light on the events of that fateful night. Eyewitness accounts detectives sat down with the neighbors who had reported hearing strange noises, taking statements and asking pointed questions to jog their memories. Mrs. Johnson, who lived in the adjacent apartment, recalled hearing a loud thud around 10 p.m., followed by the sound of footsteps hastily retreating. Her neighbor, Mr. Thompson, confirmed her account, adding that he had seen a fleeting figure in a black hoodie fleeing the scene. In physical evidence, crime scene technicians discovered a torn piece of fabric caught in the door handle of the victim's apartment. Further analysis revealed that the fabric was a match for the material used in the jacket worn by the suspect seen fleeing the scene. A latent fingerprint on the windowsill was also matched to the victim's prints, suggesting that they may have tried to escape through the window before being subdued. And the plot thickens as investigators continued to gather evidence. A complex web of motives and alibis began to emerge. The victim's business partner, James, claimed to have been in a meeting at the time of the crime, but a review of security footage revealed that he had left the office building an hour earlier than he had stated. Meanwhile, the victim's estranged wife, Sarah, had a rock-solid alibi, but her history of volatile behavior and financial struggles raised suspicions. The investigation unfolds. As the investigation continues to unfold, detectives are left with more questions than answers. Who was the figure in the black hoodie? What was the motive behind the crime? And what secrets were the victim and their associates hiding? One thing is certain: the truth is hiding in plain sight, waiting to be uncovered by the diligent efforts of the investigative team. Redemption and reckoning. The darkness lifts, confronting the past. As the truth finally began to unravel, the characters were faced with the daunting task of reconciling their actions with the devastating consequences that had unfolded. It was a moment of reckoning, where the veil of deception was lifted and the harsh light of reality shone bright. For some, it was a moment of redemption, where the opportunity to make amends presented itself. For others, it was a chance to confront the demons that had haunted them for so long. The revelation shook the very foundations of their lives, forcing them to question everything they thought they knew about themselves and those around them. It was a painful process, like ripping off a band-aid and exposing the raw, festering wound beneath. But it was a necessary step towards healing, towards redemption, and towards forgiveness. For Emma, the truth was like a ton of bricks, crushing her beneath its weight. She had lived a lie for so long, convincing herself that she was doing the right thing. But now, as the shadows of her past came to light, she realized the horrific extent of her actions. The memories she had tried to suppress came flooding back, like a tsunami crashing against the shore. She remembered the whispered conversations, the secretive meetings, and the countless lies she had told. The weight of her guilt was suffocating, threatening to consume her whole. But it was not just Emma who was forced to confront her demons. Jack, too, was faced with the consequences of his actions. He had always known that his past was troubled, but he had never imagined the extent of the harm he had caused. As the truth emerged, he was forced to confront the pain he had inflicted on those around him. The memories of his father's rage, his mother's tears, and his own sense of helplessness came flooding back, like a deluge of shame and regret. As the characters grappled with the truth, they began to realize that redemption was not a destination, but a journey. It was a process of confronting the past, making amends, and forging a new path forward. It was not easy, and it was not painless. But it was necessary, for it was the only way to break free from the shackles of guilt and shame that had held them captive for so long. In the end, redemption was not about erasing the past, but about learning from it. It was about recognizing the mistakes, the hurts, and the wounds, and using them as a catalyst for growth. It was about acknowledging the darkness, but refusing to be consumed by it. As the characters emerged from the shadows, they began to see the world in a new light. They saw the beauty of forgiveness, the power of compassion, and the strength of resilience. As the dust settled and the truth was finally revealed, the characters were left with a sense of catharsis. They had confronted their demons, and they had emerged victorious. They had taken the first steps on the long and arduous journey of redemption, and they had discovered that the darkness was not all consuming. There was hope, there was light, and there was a chance for a new beginning. In the end, the characters came to realize that redemption was not just about themselves, but about those around them. It was about the people they had hurt, the lives they had touched, and the relationships they had forged. It was about making amends not just with themselves, but with others. As they looked back on their journey, they saw the countless opportunities they had to make a difference, to change the course of events, and to alter the fabric of their reality. And they knew that they had learned a valuable lesson, that redemption was not just about personal forgiveness, but about collective healing. Summary: in this chapter, the characters are forced to confront the truth about their past actions and the devastating consequences that have unfolded. As they grapple with the weight of their guilt and shame, they begin to realize that redemption is not a destination, but a journey. Through their struggles, they come to understand that redemption is about learning from the past, making amends, and forging a new path forward. Ultimately, they discover that redemption is not just about personal forgiveness, but about collective healing, and that it is only through confronting the darkness that they can emerge into the light. The aftermath. The aftermath of tragedy, finding light in the darkness. In the aftermath of tragedy, the world can seem like a dark and unforgiving place. The shock and grief that follow a devastating event can leave individuals feeling lost and helpless. However, it is in these moments of despair that we are given the opportunity to rebuild, to heal, and to find a way forward. The path to healing begins. The journey towards healing is not an easy one, but it is a necessary step towards overcoming the trauma of tragedy. It requires patience, courage, and a willingness to confront the pain and emotions that have been buried. One of the most significant steps in this process is acknowledging the loss and allowing oneself to feel the full range of emotions that come with it. This can be a daunting task, but it is essential in moving forward. The power of community and support. In the aftermath of tragedy, it is essential to surround oneself with a strong support system. This can include family, friends, and even professional counselors who can provide guidance and comfort. The power of community and support cannot be overstated, as it provides a sense of belonging and connection during a time when individuals may feel most alone. By reaching out to others, we can find strength in numbers and begin to rebuild our sense of purpose. A light in the darkness. Despite the darkness that can follow tragedy, there is always hope for a brighter future. By focusing on the present moment and taking small steps towards healing, individuals can begin to rebuild their lives and find a sense of renewal. The aftermath of tragedy is never easy, but with patience, courage, and support, we can find a way to move forward and emerge stronger on the other side. Summary: in the aftermath of tragedy, the journey towards healing and renewal can seem daunting, but it is a necessary step towards overcoming trauma. By acknowledging loss, seeking support, and focusing on the present moment, individuals can find a way to move forward and rebuild their lives. Despite the darkness, there is always hope for a brighter future.